Friends, it's a pleasure to meet all of you virtually through this platform, YouTube platform, along with two very senior professionals in our profession, two chartered accountants, CA V. Ravindran from Salem and past chairman of SARC of Salem branch. And we also have another senior professional, CA V.B. Sampath Kumar, a very renowned professional from Chennai. Today's topic is of utmost significance in this particular time, because Reserve Bank of India has brought out a new guidelines with respect to appointment of auditors. Unlike the last circulars with respect to appointment of auditors, this particular guideline has evinced a lot of positive responses, support from both from the banking financial institution community and also from the professional side. I must tell you one thing before I hand over to our coordinator, that we have more than 3 lakh chartered accountants registered with Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Out of that, 44% are full-time practitioners. 44. We can take a number as 1,40,000. And you must appreciate that 31,000 are proprietor firms. 31,000 are proprietor firms. And close to 10,000 firms are 2 to 3 partnership, 2 to 3 partners. And they will also be eligible for statutory audit or central statutory audit of commercial banks or the urban cooperative banks or the NBFCs. Lot of revamping has been done, and it's a welcome move. This particular webcast is only to bring clarity and also understanding and awareness of RBI circular with respect to this. Now, may I request the coordinator of today's webcast, CA V.V. Sampath Kumar, to take forward this session by appropriately introducing our moderator, so that Mr. Ravindran will take it forward from now on. Over to Sampath.
My dear friends, I am very delighted to be part of this great knowledge sharing of relevant today's topic, because so many developments. Every chartered accountant in practice, as a partner, as a proprietor of any practicing firm, is interested in knowing what are the guidelines applicable to him or to his firm, and what are the parameters that has to be complied with. If they miss the bus, probably they may not be eligible to catch the bus later. And this is the first time in the history of Reserve Bank, a guideline, pointed guideline, though there are circulars issued as mentioned by Dr. Raju. Today's topic is of utmost importance as mentioned by Dr. Raju. I reiterate the point. Now, before going to the topic specific and handing over the proceedings to our coordinator, I would like to introduce the two great chartered accountants with whom I had some great relationship and connections all these years. A senior member, CA V. Ravindran, hails from Salem. He is a chartered accountant in practice. He is a graduate, BCom graduate, did his post graduation in commerce. He is a certified information system auditor, completed certificate holder, and he has been practicing as an insolvency professional by being a very active member of the IBBI, and also is a registered valuer. He has completed the independent directors, the particular eligibility examination conducted by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Believe me, he's been in the panel of almost all the banks. The list goes on some 30, 40. The biodata sheets are so many pages, and he has included most of the bank from State Bank of India, Canara Bank, Allahabad Bank, United. That's before the merger process. That list is a very big list. Corporation Bank, Bank of India, Karnataka. Likewise, it goes on. And also, he has done varieties of audit to his experience, be it a statutory central audit of the bank, branch audit, concurrent audit, revenue audit, stock audit, credit audit, inspection, fraud detection of audit, documentary vetting. All these varieties it adds, the list goes. I'm just to restricting my list to save little time. He is a good trainer on varieties of topics. He is a faculty in the CA Institute and all the branches in respect of certificate course on concurrent audit of banks. There is a certification course. He has been a trainer. He is a visiting faculty to the all the professional bodies, including ethical standards board. He has presented his paper. He has presented papers on valuation in CA Institute, Company Secretary Institute, ICMA Institute, and he is a faculty member in valuation of Institution of Valuers, and also he has presented is a faculty member in AIIOVF, and he has done district industries programs. He is a state trainer in Indian Junior Chamber, and also he has presented papers on his, I think going by the list, passion is bank audit, among others also. He has done lots of programs to train professional brothers and also the students of the CA fraternity. He has been the chairman of the Salem branch in the year 2017, and he is a co-opted member of many standing committees for so many years of SIRC of ICIA. He has got varieties of experience to create. There are some 20-30 further varieties of work. He is an active practitioner in income tax. A one-man commission of disciplinary committee of Salem District Cricket Association. He was a committee head. Individually organized educational loan awareness programs for the benefit of industry and trade in Salem and Erode. Such program, friends, has been attended in one meeting more than 7,500 participants, which I think I have not heard. I think it may be a great record of record. He carried out investment awareness program, career counseling program to student, vigilance week. He has done so many programs on bank frauds. He has addressed bank executives, trained the bank officials, addresses cooperative society executives on fraud detection and taxation aspects. He has conducted various TV programs. He has interviewed many VVIPs, which includes Sri P. Chidambaramji, the then former finance minister, Sri T.N. Sheshan, former central minister, Sri E.V.K.S. Ilangovan, and Pon Radhakrishnan, Sri Veerapandi Arumugam, the former Tamil Nadu minister, MPs, MLAs, scientists, doctors, political leaders, Tamil Nadu Cricket Association executives, and he has written many articles on bank loan to various dailies. During the time of this demonetization, he was Tamil Hindu Daily, he was a regular contributor, and in the question answer mode or whatever the clarification that is sought to be propagated to people and members, public. He at present is writing a book on Vyapara Vedangal and also on bank frauds and Tirukurulam Vyaparamum, Tirukular couplets, and how it is connected with business. He has written books. He has released so many videos for the benefit of students and memory. It runs to hundreds. Short videos, knowledge. The passion to share knowledge is unique of our CA Ravindran ji. Gold Club member of Times of India. Traveled across the globe more than 4 lakh kilometers or so, covering Nepal, Switzerland, Italy, Germany, Dubai, France, etc. It goes on. And is carried out valuation for companies as well as prepared project reports for various companies of them. This is a brief of the brief about CA Ravindran ji. Very welcome, sir, for today's meeting. Now, another senior member, CA Gopalakrishna Raju, is a practicing chartered accountant. He is from Chennai and is a partner in K. Gopal Rao and Co., which has got its branches across India in many cities. It includes Bangalore, Hyderabad, Madurai, Trichy, Tiruvallur, and it list goes on. He is a family of chartered accountant. His father, his mother, his younger brother, his wife are all practicing chartered accountants. He is there in the SIRC Regional Council for 3 consecutive terms between 2009 and 2018, February 2019 to be specific. He is a qualified insolvency professional. He is a member of the IBBA with respect to valuation examination and is an active trainer in that also. He is a cost ICWA member and associate member of ICWA. He is an associate member of the Institute of Company Secretaries, twin postgraduate diploma holder in operations research and in financial management from Central University, Puducherry. He has done his MPhil and Raju prompts me to tell he's been awarded by a Australian university recent. That goes on, I'm just abbreviating. Doctorate in GST with respect to taxability of government organization very recently. He is in the advisory board of AIIOVF. With these things, I am very proud to be part of this great knowledge sharing initiative which is regularly being done. With this brief of the brief, though I took little time, without understanding the speakers, the subject may not be appreciated better. With that in mind, I hand over the process to Ravindran ji. Over to Mr. Chartered Accountant Ravindran B.
Thank you, Sampath sir, and I'm very much thankful to Dr. GKR because we had discussion and even I am proud to say that he is also part of Salem because he was our ex officio member of our Salem branch. And today's topic, because I'm directly going to the topic, today's topic we are going to have from the RBI guidelines for appointment of auditors. This is a very latest topic, and my role is I have designed some questions, and Raju sir is going to answer it, and if there is any need, then we will interact. And I want to start the question. Raju sir, can I start? And the first thing, see, with reference to the RBI guidelines, see what is the total percentage of branches which are subject to SBA SBA means statutory branch audit. What is the total percentage of branches that are covered, which are subject to SBA?
Well, today's discussion, I'll come to your question, Mr. Ravindran. Today's discussion will divide into two parts. One is the recent the guideline which was brought out on 27th of April 2021. I understand you will come to that a little later after the statutory branch audit. Your question is now with respect to the statutory branch audit. Now, I wish to share with you one very interesting number. You will be surprised that how many banks are there totally in our country. If I put a particular number, it will be quite surprising to all of you that we have 12 public sector banks, 22 private sector banks, and 46 foreign banks. And these are all scheduled banks, which are coming under the audit. And total, there are 1,20,000 branches. I repeat, 1,20,000 branches, 2 lakh ATMs. So out of this 1,20,000 branches, so your question is how many branches are subject to audit? The guideline says this particular guideline was brought from last year. I repeat, it was brought from last year, for applicable from 2021 onwards. So 2021, and it is continuing for 21-22 also. So they have given a guideline that 90% of all funded and 90% of all non-funded credit exposures of a bank has to be covered. So that is the idea. So therefore, they will try to cover this advance exposure plus the off-balance sheet exposure. How they will, so it is not 90% of the branches, it is 90% of the operations. So this is the thing we need to keep in mind. So over to you, Mr. Ravindran, for your next question.
So very good, sir. Because and another question, most of the members, they want, sir, how the branches have been selected for audit? What's the branch selection criteria and is done by whom? Who is selecting the branches?
So very good. So this is actually a very important question. So I have just now mentioned this 90% operational exposure. The bank will select the branch based on this criteria and with the consent of the central statutory auditors. So that means it will be subject to the consent. So it is almost like another mini or kuti audit by the central statutory auditor, whether they have covered. Why? Because the central statutory auditors will be covering 15% of the, I repeat, 15% of the gross total advances central statutory auditors have to cover. So therefore, to understand that, they have to do this exercise. Next question.
So, few branches have not been selected for SBA, but those branches are subject to concurrent audit. Then, who has to carry out the SBA, whether it's the concurrent auditor or by the branch manager?
It's a very good question. So, we are very clear with respect to that 90% of the operational activity, that is funded and non-funded. Now, those branches which are not covered under the statutory branch audit, they would have been covered under concurrent audit. So, in respect of those branches which are subject to concurrent audit and not selected for branch audit, now there won't be any branch audit. Then what will happen? The LFAR, the long form audit report, and other related certifications. So, not your branch audit is not there, but LFAR and other certification will be done by the concurrent auditors, and that will be taken by the central office and consolidated. So there will be a consolidated LFAR will be presented to the central statutory auditors for their ultimate reflection in their the consolidated LFAR. So this is a very important aspect we need to understand. So that means concurrent auditors, they also support the statutory bank audit.
See, normally this will help the concurrent auditor because they have given the report. Every month they are giving the reports. The compiling LFAR will be very, very easy by the concurrent auditors. Then this is a very, very important thing that I want to ask. Can you explain the procedures to be followed by Reserve Bank of India to appoint SBA? That is, what is the general guideline? Because this is a doubt every member is having. What's the procedure to be followed by Reserve Bank of India to appoint SBA?
It's a very good question. Now we need to understand two things. For statutory branch audit, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, they invite the application. We have that multi-empanelment form, okay, the MEF form. So step one is the eligible, I repeat, step one, the eligible auditors list will be prepared by our Institute of Chartered Accountants. And after that, this above list will be subject to scrutiny by Reserve Bank of India. I repeat, this above list will be subject to scrutiny by Reserve Bank of India for identifying three things. Number one, who will be the continuing auditors, continuing firms. Maybe last year I have got an audit of a bank. So I am eligible for another 4 more years. So I am a continuing firm. Then the resting firms. So resting firms who are coming under that, and those firms who are denied audit for various reasons. So these three is very important because those lists will be with the Reserve Bank of India, and that will be verified, that will be scrutinized. Good. So after this, there is a circle process. What is a circle? This list will be forwarded, that RBI will be forwarding the final list to, that is called eligible auditors, to the public sector banks. So it will go to banks, and the bank will allot one audit for one PSB. So then there will be a consent in writing taken from the respective auditor. Maybe if 2 or 3 calls are there, the auditor is only supposed to give consent for only one bank, and it is an irrevocable consent. I repeat, it is an irrevocable consent. So institute, RBI, after scrutiny, it goes to the PSB. PSB takes the consent, and after that, it will again go back to RBI for prior approval. And after that, it will again come back for the Companies Act procedure. So put in board all those, what you call as the normal process, the Companies Act process. So this is the important step. So it will go, again there will be one circle, again it will go back, and then there will be the Companies Act process will be followed by the board. Sorry. Sir, sir, one second. Repeat your right from the beginning.
No, a lot of youngsters, they are viewing this program. So I want to tell you that you have clearly explained the procedure of allotment, because it's a knowledge to the youngsters how they are getting the audit, what's the system that's being followed. This one. And second, and now I am going to ask a very, very $1 million question, because after the introduction of RBI guidelines, this question goes through everyone's mind. And is only firms are eligible to be appointed as statutory branch auditor, or individuals or proprietors are also eligible for appointment of SB? It's a $1 million question, because a lot of people now they are asking this question, and I need your view on this, Raju sir. This question.
I am only a conduit between the Reserve Bank of India's the norms and YouTube session here. So my understanding of this, whatever the guideline, I'm just reflecting. The eligibility norms is very interesting. They have classified, I repeat, they have classified the firms into 4 categories. Category 1, 2, 3, 4. I repeat, category 1, 2, 3, 4. And category 1 is 2 partners. Category 3 is also minimum 2 partners, but the number of standing should be 5 years. So category 1 is, category 4, that means the lowermost category. So the category 1 is the uppermost category. Category 4 is the lowermost. The category 4 minimum partners is 2 and the minimum standing should be 3 years. So slowly I will upgrade. So category 3 will be the minimum partners is 2 and the standing should be 5 years. And this 2 should be exclusively associated. That means common partners with others will not be considered. Then category 2, that means the next third level. So minimum partners will be 3 and number of standing should be 6 years. And category 1, minimum 5 partners and standing of the audit firm should be 8 years. And this 5 should be number of chartered accountants exclusively associated with the firm in full time. Now, your question is very, very significant with respect to the youngsters and beginners. So here I wish to actually reiterate one point. Let us understand that there is a difference between an individual chartered accountant in practice and a sole proprietor concern or a firm in practice. Now, this 2021 onwards, there is a eligibility that even proprietorship concern without bank audit experience, I repeat the word, without bank audit experience, may be considered. I will repeat the word called may be considered. So it is the discretion of the bank, number one. Second, sometimes proprietorship firm will be there and also paid chartered accountants also will be there because it will be a very senior, because when we go to official areas, we will have the proprietorship concern and also there will be paid chartered accountants and professional staffs will be there. They will be considered at par with the category 4. They will be considered at par with category 4. That is the partnership firm of minimum 2 years. So they will be considered. So therefore, proprietorship concern with no bank audit experience may also be considered. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Because it's a doubt everyone is having. And what is the maximum tenure for SBA? I mean, for any statutory auditor, statutory auditor. So what is the maximum tenure as per the RBI guidelines that they can do the audit?
The tenure is actually 4 years. So statutory branch auditors will have a maximum tenure of 4 years. Now we need to understand the two terms. What is called as a tenure and what is called as the rotation. Okay, what is called as a rotation. So till 1920, this norm is from 2021 and onwards, and also for 21-22 also it is applicable. So from last year, that is from 2021 onwards, the tenure will be 4 years. The maximum tenure with respect to a particular bank. Okay, a particular bank is 4 years. Now, after 4 years, there was a what do you call it as a rest period. There was a rest period of 2 years gap. So 4 years, rest 2 years, again 4 years. 4 years with the bank A, 2 years rest, another 4 years with the bank B. So this is the norm. Now that that R is removed, that rest is removed, and instead of rest, they have brought another R called rotation. Another R called. So 4 years is over with the bank. You are eligible to appoint with another bank, not with the same bank. Now you want to come back to bank A again. You have to wait for at least another 4 more years. That cycle of 4 more years with another bank you have to complete. Then bank A, complete 4 years, go to bank B. And again, if you have a liking for bank A, you can come back to bank A. Okay, so that is, so no, I repeat, no resting period. The concept of compulsory rest for 2 years for audit firms has been done away with. Okay.
Want to ask the next thing, that is whether cooling period is not there, because in the last year they said, sir, we had a cooling period, that's why I have not received audit. So as per your reply that there is no cooling period, you can get the audit on rotation. There is no question of cooling period. Thank you, sir. And my another question, this also I want an advice. Is it advisable to have a partnership firm or do the audit in individual practice in order to get the bank audit subject to this RBI guidelines?
If I give you the norms of the April 2000 21 norms, 27th April 2021 norms. I will assure you that definitely you will do networking and you will become a partnership firm. See, today the Reserve Bank of India believes your capacity, believes your capacity, believes your qualification, your understanding in technology, how good you are in auditing standards. So all this stuff, your professional, what is the staff. So all these matters a lot. So more and more, you will be surprised. They have given a norm. What do you call it as a professional staff? Professional staff. Now, professional staff, if you are in category 8, you need minimum 8 professional staff. So the number of, and you'll be also appreciate one thing, that the banks, all branches are not of same size. You have, based on complexity of transaction, the size of advances will be more specialized branches. So therefore, the audit experience also matters a lot with respect to, so the nearness to the branch, that is also been given as one of the criteria. So we cannot allot a particular branch to one particular firm who are distant apart. So the branch has to consider all these factors. So that is why today institute as well as the respective banks, they have brought out internal softwares to do this kind of matching, So suggestion from the criteria or the norms that is available, it is suggested that better to have, because the institute statistics says 31,000 are proprietorship firms. So just imagine 31,000 will be eligible, maybe only considered. So that may we have to convert into must. The must, if it is has to be done, then people have to consolidate. So the consolidation is the people have to come forward. Next question.
Sir, actually, when at the time, even whenever I'm going for audit, I know how to handle the branch team, but a lot of youngsters are there because they have been pressurized for some time due to some identification of NPA, and we can say that they are afraid. They want to give a correct report, but they are having some doubt that if they give this, then they will be removed from the audit. Okay, this clarification I want you to give. What is the procedure to remove the auditors after appointment of SBA or SCA based on this RBI guidelines? Because this is a doubt everyone is having. But is there any specific provision in the RBI guidelines? And who is going to remove the auditor?
Now, this is a very sensitive question. I'll, with respect to central statutory auditors or statutory auditors, the norms are quite similar only. But with respect to statutory branch auditors, it is very clear that once an appointment is done, bank cannot remove the audit firms. Bank cannot remove the audit firms during the tenure. The tenure is actually 4 years. But we need to understand that tenure of 4 years, the firm has a right to reappointment, but every year they have to come through the eligibility process. What is eligibility process? Every year that institute will start an application, eligible firms, again the list will be sent to RBI, scrutiny, then the list will be sent to the PS. So that straight and again that circle, we have to go through that pipe every year, but we are eligible for that 4-year tenure. So bank cannot remove the audit firms provided we satisfy the eligibility and we are in the panel. So without the prior approval of the Reserve Bank of India, there can be various reasons. So this is not a forum to discuss that reasons, but with the prior approval, without the prior approval of the Reserve Bank, that means only RBI is the one sun, one moon, one regulator, one and only RBI. They have the authority for removal.
Yeah, because I want this to be conveyed to all the youngsters and all the new members also. And can you summarize the eligibility norms towards appointment of SBA as per the annexure as stated in the RBI guidelines? What's the highlights? What's the importance?
Okay, I have already mentioned, and I'll repeat it for. There are only 4 categories. Category 4 starts with 2 partners, and the minimum number of standing will be 3 years. Bank audit not necessary. Bank audit experience not necessary for category 4. Okay. Now for category 3, minimum 2 partner CAs and 5 years standing, and the firm at least one of the CA should have preferably conducted branch audit. So not necessary firm should have a branch audit experience, but at least partner should have a branch audit experience. Now category 2, minimum 3 full-time CAs and 6 years of standing. I repeat, 6 years of standing, and the firm, at least one of the partners should have preferably bank audit experience for 5 years. Okay, and come to the category 1, 5 full-time partners and professional staff 8 should be there. Firm should have 8 years of bank audit experience, and standing also should be minimum 8 years. So that is the norms for the firm's category 4, 3, 2, 1. And sole proprietorship firm also may be considered. Individuals, nowhere the norms says about it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sir, this information that I want from the SBA, that is appointment of SBA. Now I am moving to appointment of SCA and SA, that is statutory central auditors and statutory auditors for commercial banks, urban cooperative banks, NBFC and NHB. And here I want to ask, who has got the power to appoint? Because it's a million. It's also everyone's in mind. Who has the power to appoint SCA or SA?
Very good. So it all starts again with see, ultimately it is the Reserve Bank of India only have to do the approval. That is called prior approval of Reserve Bank of India. Now the starting point is not RBI. I repeat, the starting point is not RBI. The starting point is bank only. So bank only have to do the first round. What do you call it as? First round means, first of all, we need to understand this particular. I'll give a background and then I'll go to this particular question so that you will have a fair idea. This year, why this 27th of April 2021 a norm came? Okay, why this norm came? Point number 1. 2020 in pandemic, silently one revolution happened. What is it? The cooperative banks, I repeat, cooperative banks have been brought within the framework of Reserve Bank of India. I repeat, cooperative banks. So now, so these cooperative banks, they had their own, what do you call it, as a sub-regulator. So RBI, they had a sub-regulator. So they were only taking care of cooperative banks. So now, cooperative banks are coming direct under Reserve Bank of India. Now I have to make one observation here. 2 things. Regional rural banks, RRB. There is a separate act for RRB. There is a separate act for RRB. And please understand, for urban cooperative banks, in India, how many urban cooperative banks are there? And this year, urban cooperative bank audit, everybody are eligible. So please pay your kind attention what I'm going to say now. Okay, we'll go to the eligibility later. This year, number of urban cooperative banks in our country is 1,606 banks. And how many branches are there? 8,790 branches. So to the audit list, this 8,790 is added. Please understand this. And what is the deposit size or advances size? 1,81,000 crores. 1,81,000 crores is the advances by urban cooperative banks. Now this is to be audited from this year onwards. The appointment is going to happen from second half year. We are now in first half year. The second half year only the appointment will happen. So let us first be very clear about this. So this year only this norm is important. Why? Because last year only 2020, the entire control, the regulatory control, the regulatory framework came to Reserve Bank of India through a silent revolution. Silently, a move was made in the parliament, and I am sure all of you are aware about it. And in my channel previously, we have also discussed about this particular point. So this is the, I will say, point zero. This is called point zero, 0 point. Now coming to the next. This year, they have brought 27th of April 2020. They have brought, I will say, a total change with respect to appointment of central statutory auditor. The word central statutory auditor means you have branch auditors also. There are certain banks, they don't have a branch auditors, but branch audit will be done, but they will not have branch auditors separately. So there they will not name it as central statutory auditors. They will only be named as the statutory auditors. They will only be named as statutory auditors. So statutory central auditors or statutory auditors. So please understand this term very clearly. And they have also included this year, NBFCs also, appointment of NBFC auditors, appointment of NBFC statutory auditors also will come under this particular guideline. I repeat, this particular guideline. All these years, NBFC appointment was not coming under the framework. Now they are brought under this framework. But please understand one thing, NBFCs do not have to take prior approval of RBI. NBFCs do not have to take prior approval of RBI, but they have to follow the guideline. But with respect to public sector banks, so when they say commercial banks, what is commercial banks? Public sector banks, private sector banks, and foreign banks, and their branches. So now these three will come under the appointment of central statutory auditors and statutory auditors or statutory auditors will come under this particular framework. Now, coming to the framework, the starting point. What is the starting point? Starting point is you need to know that how many auditors have to be appointed. So the olden there were 16. I must tell you one thing. There were 16 circulars from 1983. From 1983 till this particular circular 2021, whatever circular has been there previously, everything is withdrawn. All circulars withdrawn. This is the only circular now with respect to appointment of bank auditors. That too, statutory central auditors and statutory auditors for commercial banks, for urban cooperative banks and NBFCs. This is the only circular. Point number one. Point number two, what is the starting point? The starting point is you need to understand what is the number of auditors. Number of auditors who will be appointed. So they say the asset size is 15,000 crore. 15,000 crore above means minimum 2 auditors. That means 2 joint auditors. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, so 6, 8, 12. So they go by the multiples of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. So it is based on as the number of asset size increase, it is. So this is to be understood first. And maybe if you want to average it, you can average it. Because if you are between 4 and 6, you can average it. So that the number has to be decided by the board, and board has to come out with a policy. Okay, board approved policy. Then so how many joint auditors? How many auditors? So if the asset size is below 15,000 crore, it is only 1 auditor. If it is above 15,000 crore and above, 2 auditors and more. So this is first point. Second, and remember one thing, no sole proprietor, no individual. So already statutory bank or branch audit, no individual chartered accountant will be considered. Only proprietor firms may be considered. But here, no proprietor word is used here. It is only partnership firms or LLP. I repeat, partnership firms or LLP. And you have to appreciate one thing here. You have to appreciate one thing here. Till the previous till the previous 16 circulars, the norms was the minimum 7 partners and above. Minimum 7 partners and above have been done away with. So it is now 5 partners. Remember, guys, if 5 partners are there, the central audit, the statutory audit is possible. Now, they have given the and 5, 3, 2. Remember, 2 auditors. So there they say up to 1,000 crore. So 1,000 crore to 15,000 crore, because one auditor up to 15,000 crore. Where 3 partners, 3 full-time partners if it is there. So 3 partner firm will be eligible. And I must tell you from the institute records, from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India records, 2 to 3 partners, there are 10,000, close to 10,000 firms in our country. That means 30,000 chartered accountants practicing full-time chartered accountants are in this category, for your information. So that means 9,000 and odd firms. 9,000 and odd firms. That is why I gave the statistics of urban cooperative bodies. So it is 1,606. I repeat, 1,606 urban cooperative bodies, and definitely joint audit will be there. Definitely joint audit will be there, and all the firms may not be eligible also. All the firms may not be eligible because the number of professional staff, minimum number of audit experience. What is minimum number of audit experience? Minimum 6 years of audit experience. CISA, ESA must. I repeat, CISA, ESA must. If it is above 15,000 crore, minimum 2. CISA, ESA must. Please understand. The CISA, ESA is not a criteria for statutory branch audit. I repeat, statutory branch audit, CISA, ESA is not a criteria. But CISA or ESA, now they have, now the ESA syllabus is revamped, ESA 3.0, and July 31st examination will be conducted. Remember, guys, ESA 3.0 is at par with CISA, and the level of examination is superior. They have actually enhanced the level, and 60% pass mark and all they have brought it. So it is very, very nicely they have brought at par with international standards. So a lot of revamping has been done by Digital Accounting and Assurance Board. So this is with respect to the number, and I'll come to the tenure as well as the rotation a little later. But I'll only Ravindran's question I will answer, and then again I'll wait for additional question from Ravindran. The starting point for appointment is only from the entity, that is auditable entity. They have to find out what is the vacancy, and based on that, for every vacancy, 2 firms have to be shortlisted. 2 firms have to be shortlisted. They only have to do. So you can understand. But remember how they will shortlist. It is only based on the norms given by C&AG. I repeat, norms given by C&AG, and C&AG only will send the list to Reserve Bank of India, and based on that list only, the respected entity will shortlist minimum 2 audit firms. So that is the starting point. So over to Mr. Ravindran.
So very good things. Actually, I have to ask another 2 to 3 questions, but you have almost covered in your presentation. So I have to skip that. And can Reserve Bank of India interfere into the appointment of SCA or SA? Because if they are not satisfied, can they interfere into the appointment of SCA and SA?
See, as I told you, it will start with your C&AG empanelment. Then as far as your branch audit is concerned, it is your MEF empanelment. ICA giving the list to RBI. With respect to statutory central auditors or statutory auditors, the list has to be forwarded by the C&AG. They have to forward the list to Reserve Bank of India. So there are 2 empanelments. Please understand, okay, very clearly. So one empanelment is our institute empanelment. The other empanelment is your C&AG empanelment. So Comptroller and Auditor General. So the Comptroller and Auditor General empanelment, the list will be sent to the Reserve Bank of India. And of course, the same vetting will be done. As I told you, the same 3 steps. They will do the scrutiny and they will finalize the list. So C&AG list is not final list. C&AG list will be scrutinized by Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India will have a list. And based on that list only, so it is not C&AG list. So based on that list only, your bank will actually select the firms. So that is the crucial point, number one. And after that process, after the selection and after getting all those, the same, you have to get what you call as consent. And the list will be actually sent to RBI. RBI has to give the prior approval. So that means bank only will do the, what do you call it as, the coordination between the statutory auditors and RBI. So directly there is no coordination between statutory, the firms with audit firms with the RBI. It's only the banks. So bank will get the consent and it will be sent. And again, after that, after the prior approval only, it will again come back for the your Companies Act process. So the same process, only a fine tuning is done here. Good, next.
And SCA, this statutory central auditor, and SA, statutory auditor. What is the why they differentiate between SCA and SA? What is the real meaning of that?
I have to make this point once again very clear, that please understand that public sector banks, they are answerable. They are actually central government entity. So it's a Government of India enterprise. So therefore, the branch audit has more relevance there. But with respect to private banks, there also branch audit is relevant. As per Companies Act, branch audit has to be done. Okay. So they give criteria with respect to the section under Companies Act 141 and all. So where why you need to do a branch audit, can you do away with a branch audit, all this stuff is there. So the management will take a call with respect to a branch audit. Now who has to do it is the next question. Who has to do is the next question. So there the management, there is no compulsion there. So there the management can take a call with respect to your branch audit. So therefore the central statutory audit is only for your statutory central audit is only for your public sector banks. So with respect to others, there is no necessity. So therefore, urban cooperative banks, you may have a statutory central audit. I repeat, statutory central audit. Now I have to make one observation here. This urban cooperative banks, I have to make a point this particularly because this is new this year. So what is the process they will follow? The process same like your public sector banks, the urban cooperative banks also has to follow because they are also coming under the Reserve Bank of India's fold. But the jurisdiction alone changes. Especially urban cooperative banks under Mumbai region, they have to, and all commercial banks, public sector banks, and urban cooperative banks under Mumbai region, the RBI is the central office of RBI. But with respect to other urban cooperative banks, because I told you there are 1,606 urban cooperative banks in our country. So the other UCBs, for them, the regional office of RBI. So we have in Thiruvananthapuram, we have in Chennai, we have in Hyderabad, we have in Bengaluru. So in all these places. So that regional UCBs, they have to actually get the approval from the regional office of the RBI.
Yeah, can you
please go
ahead. Yeah, okay, sir. So
we'll have the last 5 minutes. We'll have last 5 minutes. Maybe you can take another 1 or 2 questions maximum. And after that, we'll
only two.
1 minute. We have a lot of questions from the members also. So after this question, we'll go to ask questions from the members and then we'll conclude.
Okay, only 2 questions I want to ask. What is in the guidelines? I noted that independence of the auditors. What is why they have given specific importance in this circular? Because all auditors means they have got independence, but they have given specifically, they mentioned independence of auditors.
Now here, maybe many points I want to share. One or two I will discuss. Number one, with respect to tenure and rotation, because this is a point I have to mention here. So unlike your the statutory branch audit, here the tenure is 3 years. Continuous period is 3 years. Previously also it was 3 years only. Now also it is 3 years. But please understand here, now they have extended the, what do you call it as, the cooling period. So the social distancing, we can call it as, there is 6 years cooling period. 6 years cooling period. So if I am auditor for Bank of Maharashtra, and once my term is over, I cannot be reappointed for 6 years. But I cannot be reappointed for Bank of Maharashtra only. But I will be appointed as an audit firm, can continue to undertake statutory audit of other entities. Oh my God. So then what is the limit they have allowed? The limit they have allowed is one audit firm can concurrently take up statutory audit of maximum of 4 commercial banks. Maximum of 4 commercial banks, including not more than 1 public sector bank. So you can take 1 public sector bank or 1 all India financial institutions. So any one you can take. Either you can take 1 PSB or you can take 1 all India financial institution like NABARD, SIDB, National Housing Bank, etc. Any one you can take, and plus 3 maybe private sector banks you can take. So 1 plus 3, that means maximum 4. And urban cooperative banks, 8 audits you can take. So one firm who is eligible, so 5 partner firm who is eligible, they can take 8 urban cooperative banks, 4 commercial banks, and 8 NBFC banks. I repeat, 8 NBFC banks. So this is something phenomenal. It is something phenomenal. Exception only for there may be certain reservation with respect to 6 years gap. I believe that the 6 years gap is definitely a welcome move, because they have actually compensated the social distancing with respect to the number of auditable entities. So now the challenge before the audit firm is to increase their capacity, and be eligible for the particular norm. And I'll just share with you those eligibilities. Very interesting. Above 15,000 crore, that is minimum 2 firms and above. Minimum 2 firms and maximum up to 12 audit firms, joint auditors can be there. So there, they have made it 2 Cs are mandatory, and minimum 15 years of audit experience. I repeat, and 18 professional staffs. You must appreciate one thing, that professional staff means your audit and article assistants. And I must tell you that they have copied this from the previous 16 circulars, because in the previous circulars it was audit and article clerk. Still they have copied that same clerk here, because it was we have amended in our CA regulation clerk to assistant long time back, for your information. But if the merger demerger concept, they have taken the same. If you have done the demerger, the effect will be taken immediately. But 2 firms are merged together, the effect will be given only after 2 years. So all these points have been brought out. Maybe I will not take much of the time. I'll take. We'll again now request Mr. Sampath Kumarji to.
Dr. Raju and Ravindran sir, there are lots of questions. I think time may not be available. I have got one doubt. Dr. Raju, there is a bank which is called an entity here, and it has got other arms of financial or housing or whatever that. Equally, there is an audit firm having a partner. So long as the independency is concerned, with respect to the bank, the entity, the 1 year cool-off period or whatever that is mentioned, it is only to that particular bank alone, the entity alone, or it is applicable to the allied or put together entire group that should be considered. Vis-a-vis, in respect of a partner who has got a non-audit or other role other than a statutory audit, whether the firm is ineligible or not. That is, one from the bank's perspective, other than the audit work. So long as the entity auditor's firm is concerned, a partner doing a service, other partner is doing a service, a non-audit work, how the independency, what are the implications under this particular guideline?
Actually, it's a very interesting question because we have under Companies Act section 144, the statutory auditor is prohibited. Statutory auditor is actually should not undertake the non-audit services like internal audit, management services, etc. So here also they have brought this particular. There is a social distancing which the statutory central auditor or statutory auditor has to maintain with the entity, and also with the group entity. And also group entity means I should not even do a non-audit work with their subsidiary or associate or joint venture entity also. This is also they made it. And my appointment 1 year before and my appointment 1 year later. Now this particular guideline came only on April 27, 2021. Now, if I'm eligible, but I'm already doing a non-audit work last year, then I become ineligible. So they have given one exception that if you have that particular work you have actually stopped, or that particular work you have resigned from that particular non-audit assignment last year, then the gap, even though it is less than 1 year, will not be considered as a impediment. This is you need to understand one thing. But with respect to your post 1 year social distancing, that you have to maintain. So because there's a transition period, they have given that transition exemption alone. So this is you need to appreciate that 1 year. This is there even in our 247 of the Companies Act with respect to valuers also, where if you are a valuer, direct or indirect relationship with your entity for 3 years, you shouldn't have. So here it is 1 year. So very good point, sir.
There are a lot of questions. I request you to select a couple of questions of relevance because some of the questions have already been answered in the deliberations. And
so I will just take 2 or 3.
Please, Doctor.
Sridharan Gopal, sir, whether proprietary firm is eligible for SB as per new circular? Yes, they are eligible. Okay. Now, Mr. Velayadam Alagappan has asked, how many eligible firms are there for SCA or SA? A very good question. This every year based on the application. So we cannot judge based. This is the statistics from institute. Statistics from institute is the firm number, I can tell you. But every year I have to make an application. For example, even though I'm eligible, if I don't make an application, I become ineligible. So therefore, every year eligible firms, they have to come forward. Even though 3 years I'm eligible to be appointed as a central statutory auditor or a statutory auditor, the RBI can actually take a prior, the RBI can actually consider whether that firm can be continued or not. So all these are given in this. So a lot of points are there. So very interesting question by Mr. Adagappan, but due to paucity of time, I just want to share only 1 or 2. Okay, good. Okay, and there is a very interesting question by Mr. Sethi, Jain Sethi. How can we find out that I am in the reject list or approved list of RBI? So, actually, RBI is like God. Okay, RBI is like God. They are the regulator. So you have to call them. You have to ask them, am I in the list? First list is in the for branch audit, ICI. It will go to RBI. RBI, they will also have a list. Possibly ICA list and RBI list both can be same, but your rejection list, that and all the other 3 criteria, 3 types of firms I gave. So RBI list is final. So RBI list will come to the respective banks. There you can ask whether my name is there. Generally, that list will not be because they have an internal circular that this list should not be circulated. Our institute also, they publish it in our website because we are all members. We have right to ask our institute. RBI is regulator. So we can only request them. You can ask your bank because the list will come there. So I think we appreciate.
Sorry, Raju. Dr. Raju, there is one question which says you have said 90% of the branches are to be covered, 10% are effectively exempted. Whether the same list has to continue or once in 3 years, even the exempted branch has to be covered in the overall 3 year cycle period.
See, this 90% is not what you call it as a compulsion. That is minimum. There are banks who are covered 100% also, because ultimately it has to get the consent of the central statutory auditors. So now today the list is more. The auditors list is bigger. So why you want to restrict the auditable entities? You increase it. So there can be other criteria. So the risk exposure and the necessity of the type of complexity of the transaction, or it is a newly opened branch. So many criteria will be there that can come under the 10% criteria. So that is what they say. It cannot be more than that. So that 90% of your operational activity, that is your funded and non-funded.
Okay. Dr. Raju, one short question with respect to issuance of LFAR by concurrent auditors in respect of these exempted branches. Will it impair or affect the ethical aspect of an auditor of a concurrent branch?
It's a very good question. You are not signing the balance sheet, number one. Number two, at the time of appointment itself, you are giving a consent that for year end, you will give the LFAR and other certification. So it is concurrent audit is a management audit. It is not a statutory audit. So therefore, it is actually an agreement. It is an assurance engagement mutually agreed by the management and the chartered accountant. So I don't find any ethical issues here.
Very nice. We have covered most of the questions. There are still a lot of questions and time is out already. And I, on behalf of the organizers and on behalf of CA Ravindranji and CA Dr. Gopalakrishna Raju sir, I am very thankful for patient listening. Lots of questions. Please wait for similar such programs to address. We will create more time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sambat sir, and thank you, Mr. Ravindran sir. I must tell you one more thing that another 2 more days later, so on Wednesday evening, same time, 7 p.m., we are going to have the same session in local language, in Tamil. So where yet another past chairman of one of the popular branches of Tamil Nadu, he will be hosting the particular program. So the same program, let us view and share more of our thoughts in Tamil. So, adu varaikum, nandri vanakkam.